call and start dragging people.
Sounds good. Let's
All
see.
right.
Are we good on this end? Looks like it. Yeah, no, I am live now, so
Excellent.
we can stop
excellent.
saying mean, clandestine things. We are locked into politics right now.
We're locked into politics. That's incredible. I love being locked into politics. I've been locked into politics for like the last 2 days straight. It's been incredible.
Yeah,
I've talked to
most
so
days
many
I ignore
politicians,
politics,
as you are about to do now.
every once in a while. Is that an Outer Wilds plushie you have? I'm a big fan.
It is in fact an Outer Wilds plushie.
Nice.
Are you a fan of the video game Outer Wilds?
I'm a huge fan. It's one of my favorite games of all time. The only regret is that I can't play it again.
You're so true. My roommate actually got me a book about like the development of the game, and I am waiting to chew into it.
Cool.
I'm very excited about it. Oh, we have people. That's an Adam Murphy. Hello.
Hello.
All right.
I'll wait
Now
till
that,
everyone's here, because everyone else is going to forget each other's names unless I wait till every single candidate is in. So,
Salam, you're inside.
I made it on time.
All right, I will jump off stage and let you take over.
All right, thank you.
Jeremy! Hey, Jeremy! All right, I'll jump off stage. I'll see you all later.
I'm doing a head count like I'm on a field trip. Let's see, we got 5, 6 Congress people. Seven. I think we need one more, right? Did we lose one at the Civil War Museum? Where are we?
You got we're all here.
All right, that's all 7. All right, guys, welcome to the Progressive Victory candidate panel. I'm your host, the Soy Pill, who wore this hat so that all of them could be clipped and made to look ridiculous when they finally get to the main stage. We have partnered with Progressive Victory to try to highlight all of these progressive candidates and have been endorsed by Progressive Victory because they have vowed to take the PV pledge. And just real quick, I'm going to show this on screen just in case any of you get cold feet or second thoughts and say, wait a minute, I didn't agree to that. You don't have time to read all the fine print, but here you go. This is the PV pledge. If you disagree with anything on here right now, go ahead and leave the call. But essentially, this is a lot of progressive policies. Now, I don't have to agree to all these because I'm not running for Congress, but you guys all are. We've got Senate candidates, we've got House candidates, and they are making a commitment here. And so we really appreciate them making transparent their policies and their values. Something about here, if you take back any of these things, curse upon your family for 1,000 years, but don't worry about that. You can find this online. But let's introduce everyone. I'm not going to go in clockwise order because I actually have a sheet here. First up, we've got from U.S. Senate in New Hampshire, Karishma Manzoor. Hi, Karishma.
Hello.
And keep in mind, if you live in any of... Oh, go, yeah, you're a little quiet.
Hopefully you can you hear me now?
It's better. Keep going. Whatever you just did, do more of that.
I'll bring the microphone closer to me. Hello.
Perfect. It might be using your laptop mic. But while you figure that out, next up from Massachusetts 1st District, it's Jeremy Whalen.
What up? I want to give a shout out to PV Mass, okay? Yesterday, during a snowstorm, we had a legit blizzard going on. We rolled out over 24 PV of crew knocking doors. This is the crew right here. Much love to PV Mass. I literally couldn't do it without you. Y'all are something. So love PV, love what you're doing, and I'm excited to be here.
All right, shout out PV. Next up, Virginia's 1st District, we've got Salam Bhatti.
What's up, everybody? Good evening, good afternoon, good morning.
Another Virginia 9th District, we have Adam Murphy.
Everybody, Adam Murphy here, representing Virginia's 9th District, trying to flip it. It's the reddest district in Virginia. I'm really excited to be able to. We have a huge chance here, an opportunity. I'm really grateful to PV to giving an opportunity to speak here. Thank you.
Right on. Next, Florida's 23rd District, we have Oliver Larkin.
What's up, PV? 2 panels, 2 days. Happy to be here.
Showing his commitment and endurance. Next, New Hampshire's 1st District, it's Heath Howard.
Thank you so much for having me tonight. I'm really excited to get into it.
Just so you know, your head is covering your congressional sign, so it looks like you're running for Heath Howe. Heath Howe for Kong. But yeah. And finally, for California's 11th district, that's right by me, homegrown, Saikot Chakrabarti, or Shoykot, excuse me. You told me how to say it.
Yeah, no, you got it. What's up, PV? Yeah, y'all have been very helpful on the campaign here. Shout out to Navia and PV Bay Area. Been knocking doors for about a year now, so thank y'all.
Ooh, I got to get in on that. I've got a Bay Area house, but no doors to knock on, so I should speak up with you afterwards. But anyway, we're all here to find out more about you guys, to discuss the state of the country, progressive politics, and how we're moving forward. So for this next part, I'm just going to ask a bunch of questions. Any one of you can jump in. It's not a race, but assert yourself, crosstalk, argue, even make yourself look more progressive. If someone says $25 minimum wage, you say 26. Okay, like we're trying to distinguish ourselves, but also form this coalition. So this will be a good time to show that look, if you can't handle the heat in the room full of progressives, you're not going to do well in Congress. Okay. So the first question, and this is from my audience, this is from El Don Francisquito, is, my name is Francis, and I was born in Cali and raised by immigrants. Oh, excuse me. That's a question that comes later. I forgot this one is first. Shibbernaut9949 asks, this is particularly aimed at Adam Murphy, but this is for everyone, because Adam, you are running in an incredibly red area. Do you think that progressivism and working class populist politics is an antidote to political polarization, especially as we see now? So how do progressives and socialists appeal to a working class captured by the Republican Party? And just to clarify, what is going to distinguish these progressive politics as the solution versus what some people seem to see the Democrats doing, which is moving a little more towards the center?
Well, I would say that corporate Democrats have a really good way of describing the problem, but there's no solution behind the problem that they're trying to describe. And in our district, because everybody here is working class, when you talk about healthcare and the cost of living, everybody in this rural district, everybody faces it. I mean, it's horrible in some of these places where these corporations. I heard a story about Dickinson County, one of the most rural areas in our area, they would offer people a $5 lease per acre, and they would make it so that way that they would put gas facilities on that person's farm or land or whatever for $5 an acre, and then they would destroy the property value as they put these wells inside or they go underneath their land or whatever. And so the thing that I'm finding is that I'm a software developer. I'm unabashedly against AI data centers. That's something that crosses every single alley here in my district. In fact, I have on my launch side, the people before AI, right? And people here are very concerned because all these workers, whether you're white collar, blue collar, AI has the potential to automate your job away completely. And if the United States continues on the path that it is, in 2035, we might have 25% unemployment. That's Great Depression numbers of unemployment. And so people here are concerned about their future. They aren't already able to afford power or energy or homes or rent, whatever it might be. And it's going to be only worse going down the line. So I feel like when we talk to people, when we tell them a different way, because corporate Democrats would tell you, Medicare for all, it can't work. It's too expensive. When we can say, actually, it saves us $5 trillion over 10 years, and it covers everybody in this country because as an American, as a human, you deserve it. I find that a lot of people find that rhetoric, that understanding, it's different than how other people have said it, but it really resonates with people because they do deserve it. So I've been finding that as long as you continue to stand on these values, yes, there'll always be some naysayers, some people who post some troll comments, but the vast majority of people want change. And when you show them that it can be different, that we don't have to continue the status quo for these greed incentives, people come to the table because it doesn't matter your political perspective. Everybody hates the billionaires. Everybody hates these oligarchs. There isn't a single person who's like, ooh, Elon Musk, I love him. Everybody hates him, And so it's very important to continue to show them that this fight, it's worth fighting for, and it's mostly people who've been disaffected. If we stand up, we can flip this district, we can flip any district in America and actually make massive change for our country. And so I think that's what we keep telling people, keep showing that it's worth fighting for, and people come to the table. It's Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Although you did just expose yourself as not having a Twitter account if you think no one likes Elon Musk. But go ahead. It seems like Heath Howard wants to go in.
Yeah, so I currently am running in what up until 2018 was the swingiest congressional district anywhere in the country. And it's something where we have been having a lot of conversations about how moderates need to be the one who are put forward and that we need to be looking for somebody who can win. But I have to remind people that until 2018, we had a situation where Carol Shea Porter, who was a member of the Progressive Caucus, was very opposed to the Iraq War, was able to win in this district. And it's something where I am actually the only candidate in my race that has actually flipped a sitting Republican to a Democratic seat. I have won in a Republican-leaning district twice. I won my first election by 7 votes. I won my second election by 16 votes. But it's going out, it's talking to the Republicans, it's talking to the Democrats, it's talking to the independents, but most crucially, it's talking to the people who would rather not vote at all and would rather sit on the couch. I mean, we have seen election after election that instead of winning or losing, to the Republicans, we've been losing to the couch. And that is a huge problem where we need to activate people who did not vote in 2024, who did not vote in 2022. And it's the fact that Trump in 2016, he was able to do that. That's why he's been so successful. He has been able to activate a base that has been inactive. And it's something where Democrats across the board would rather try and win over these middle of the road voters, these Republicans that are not interested in voting for Democrats to begin with. We need to be finding people and meeting where they are and actually having conversations with these people, talking about the issues and focusing on those issues because it is so vitally important, because that is how we win people over to our side.
All right. So unlike JD Vance, who fucks the couch, we're getting fucked by the couch. Understood. No one is interrupting each other, and that's fine and civil. But I'm curious, is that because everyone here agrees with the sentiment of our first two speakers, or is there maybe some sort of differentiation here? Are we all just on board with the fact that progressivism is just about reaching the disaffected, and that's how we're going to win? We don't have to align with the middle. Does anyone have any sort of deviation from that, or something slightly different? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just to add something here, like the reason this is true is you're seeing Trump like falsely adopt some of these populist progressive positions, right? Like Trump is out there saying he's going to do a 10% cap on interest rates. That's something I actually worked on. Like when I was in Congress, where we did the Loan Shark Prevention Act, that was going to be a 10% cap on interest rates on credit cards and payday loans. And the crazy thing is, I couldn't get a single moderate member of the Democratic caucus to sign on to it, even though I showed them polling, showing it polls super well in all their districts. You just know in the back of their mind, though, as they see that bill, they're like, which of my donors am I going to piss off if I sign on to this? That's what they're thinking the whole time. And that's what people are pissed off about, right? That is what it's fundamentally about. Now, Trump, his 10% cap on interest rates on credit cards, it's a lie. Like he's trying to like pay the banks. He's letting banks like bribe him to like give him something, give them like, leeway on this cap and all this crap. So he knows that this is the popular way to win. That's why he's running on it. He's like campaigning on it and saying he's going to do it. But he's not actually going to do it. So that to me shows like this is ultimately the way to get to that base too, right? This is the overwhelmingly popular platform. But the Republicans are pro-business, so they're not going to do it. And half the Democrats are pro-business too. So we got to replace them too.
Well, just to be clear, are you anti-business or not? You're just not captured by business interests.
Captured by business interests, right?
Number two.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's got to be. It can't be that corporations run society. It's got to be the other way around, right? Like yes, of course, there should be businesses, there should be markets, but they should be in service of what we want to do as a nation. Like we can't just have profit be the only guiding light for our entire economy. That's been happening for 40 years, and it's been devastating. It's been absolutely devastating.
Mr. Larkin, it looked like you want to get in.
We need to.
Yeah.
I want to say something. Who's going next? Oliver or me?
Everybody, yeah, go ahead.
Both of you at the same time and one word at a time. Like finish each other's sentences. No, okay, Mr. Larkin first, and then we'll go next to Karishma.
Okay, so my message is similar regardless of whether it's a Democrat, an independent, or a Republican. It doesn't matter. It's a simple message. In the richest country in the world, everyone deserves healthy food, housing, and healthcare. If I start with that premise, it doesn't matter who I'm speaking with, and everybody gets on board. Because I think we've become so attuned to the fact that we don't have healthcare. People don't understand that there's actually, people have just accepted it, that it's always going to be an issue. It's going to be a luxury. And so what I'm trying to do as I speak with people is, we are the only developed nation in the world that does not provide healthcare, universal healthcare. And that the fact that it's tied to employment is really not good either for businesses or for employees or for our culture. For Medicare for all, yes. So anyways, so I was talking to somebody the other day and he said, oh, I'm a MAGA Republican. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Let's still talk. And after 5 minutes, we realized there were two situations where we absolutely agreed on. One was that everybody deserves healthcare in the country because it's not a lack of resources. We're not a poor nation. We're the richest country in the world. And the second one was we should not be spending billions of dollars bombing children overseas while people in our state are going hungry. And that was it. So we were on board. So I don't like to address, yes, I'm a progressive. I've already taken that pledge. But when I go out, I'm not saying I'm a progressive or I'm a Democrat or I'm a scientist, which I am. I say I'm a person who believes the government can help the most vulnerable in our society. So let's start from that premise. And it doesn't matter who I speak with, it's the same message. I'm not changing my story or my personality or my message depending on who I'm speaking with.
All right, awesome. And then
Yeah, I
Oliver.
mean, we need to cut off the trough of corporate PAC money. I'm running in the #1 NRCC target in the state of Florida, and I'm primarying an incumbent Democrat. And the reason I'm doing that is because the institutions that have the boot on the neck of people in our state, it is the corporate landlords, it is the power utilities, it is the for-profit healthcare insurance industry. And this is what increasingly we are bringing Jared Moskowitz over to our side. 3 years in Congress, it took me primarying him for him to finally sign on to Medicare for all, even though he's taken tens of thousands of dollars from private health insurance and for-profit, big pharma. We understand, and increasingly establishment Democrats understand that we need to stand up for healthcare as a human right. This is a winning message in swing districts like ours. And so the problem is when we have a representative in Jared Moskowitz who, I'll take corporate landlords as one example. Lennar Corporation, the second largest home builder in the United States of America. Top 3 donors in the last election, National Republican Congressional Committee, Jared Moskowitz and Jared Moskowitz's PAC. This is a two-party bipartisan issue, and running in a state like Florida, where the Democratic Party has lost so much ground over recent years, so much more ground than relative to other states. I'm running in Broward and Palm Beach County. This used to be the beating blue heart of the state of Florida. The reason that it has trended red in recent years is because we have a corporate Democratic Party that is bought and sold by corporate interests. Florida Power and Light, which gave over 20 grand to Moskowitz, they just raised our rates on utilities by $7 billion. The corporate landlords, the Medicare, for-profit health insurance corporations, these are the entities that are making life unaffordable, and people increasingly, including establishment Democrats like the one I'm running against, understand that taking them on is a winning message, not just in deep blue districts, but this is the swing district need that we need to really run and win back power in Congress.
All right. I'm going to move on to the next question unless anyone has some burning thoughts on why progressivism is the solution. Oh, Jeremy?
I'm going to jump in real quick just to say this. Yeah. I think the thing that frustrates me the most is messaging. I think that we are so weak and watered down in our messaging. It's just a huge problem, right? When you have, for instance, Sean O'Brien speaking, the Teamsters president speaking at the RNC, it's not because the Teamsters believe in the RNC or the Republican ideology. It's because they're duped by the idea and the ideology of the messaging in which Republicans and conservatives are dishing out. We have no messaging. Our messaging is so bad. And so in order to reclaim these ideas, we need to be not just thinking about the words that we're saying, but the way that we deliver it, especially when we're talking about things that are just super concerns to the fabric of our democracy. Can I swear on this?
Of course.
Is that going to
Hell yeah, you can swear.
Okay. So part of our from the get-go, fuck ICE, abolish ICE. We've been saying it since my friend Mahmoud Khalil was the first abducted, right? We've been screaming that from the rafters. Now, my opponent, the percentage-wise, the #1 recipient in all of Congress for corporate money, he's not going to take those chances. He's not going to be super against war because he profits from it. He's not going to say all these things. What we get is we get slaps on the wrists rather than punches in the face when it comes to rhetoric of the Democratic Party. And we need to start to really think about this, how we're delivering those messages, how it's resonating with the actual people, because the people on the couch are the ones that are watching football tonight, and they're also concerned about their country, but you have to deliver that message in the appropriate way. So we gotta tune in our messaging.
I think
I'm
it's
going to say
authenticity.
something to
What you said.
wait.
Sorry, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Karishma, go ahead.
Me? So, Jeremy, you said it's the message. I don't think it's the message, it's the messenger. The messages that the centrists are using have progressive values, but then the centrists don't deliver on it. So, it's not the message, it's the messenger. But the messenger, if it's the centrist or the moderate or the neoliberals, whatever you want to call them, those corrupt Wall Street Democrats, if we are the messengers of progressive Bernie crack messages and progressive FDR level messages, it will resonate and it will not be a messenger or a message issue.
Okay, well, I think this is a good jumping off point to the question that I wrote. So this is a kind of a litmus test. There's this kind of lack of authenticity, a lack of sort of like down to earth politics that a lot of people crave, and also we see the rise of, I don't know how many people are familiar with dark woke, but the ability to like kind of fight back against the really smarmy mud slinging kind of politics that we're seeing right now coming from the Republicans. So this is, I'm going to make sure everyone answers this. I'm going to go one by one. I want you to say the meanest thing you can about the worst Republican. Okay? And so we're going to start with you, Adam Murphy. And I have the ability to interrupt. If I start hearing a political platitude about how we need to come together and be civil, I will stop you. Okay? Just who's the worst Republican right now in the admin, and what's the worst thing you can say about them?
Well, it's definitely Pete Keg's breath, in my opinion. Or Chris, I mean, you really could interchange them, but I'll use Pete Keg's breath as my personal person. He's massively unqualified. I'm surprised nobody in the Senate hearing said, hey, Pete Keg's breath, is there anybody in the military more qualified than you? Like, to me, that should have been a slam dunk. A major, I don't care how long you've been in the military, a major does not supersede a general's level of experience. On top of the fact that he's clearly just massively partisan. He doesn't care about anything. He thinks women shouldn't be in our military. There's all these stupid things that he believes. And on top of that, he's willing to send troops to break our Fourth Amendment and other constitutional rights, whether it's in Minneapolis, all of our cities, Chicago, Portland, other places, right? Like he's not qualified. He's just a fascist. And to my opinion, much of this administration is just fascist. They are not being American. They are being un-American. And I think that we need to slap them down, get all of them out of the system, get Trump, Vance, the whole cabinet, full removal. Everybody needs to fucking go. They all suck. They all really fucking suck.
So much for the tolerant left, Mr. Murphy. All right. Shoykot, same question. Worst Republican, meanest thing you'll say about them?
Oh man, if I had to pick the worst, I mean, you got that genocidal Jabba the Hutt motherfucking piece of shit Randy Fine in Florida. I mean, he is the absolute bottom of the barrel worst, I mean, I agree with Adam that there's a whole bunch of people in this administration that gotta go to jail, but Randy Fine, I've got no respect, nothing for him. Like, he should be stomped.
All right. Hell yeah. By the way, you can all endorse each other's mean comments. This is fine. Mr. Howard, please. Worst Republican, meanest thing.
Stephen Miller. I mean, for a guy who just absolutely trashes on every single person who is not a straight white male, it is completely despicable how he's used rhetoric to further the Trump administration's agenda. And just like everyone else, I mean, I think that this entire administration needs to be impeached and they need to be prosecuted for crimes.
All right. I was leaning on platitude, but I still agree with you. You weren't nearly mean enough. We'll work on that, though. We have plenty of time before the race. All right. Jeremy, please. Worst Republican, meanest thing. I can see you're itching to say something awful.
Miller was taken, man. Walking condom, Stephen Miller. I mean, the thing that there was a video I saw not too long ago. He was like a high schooler on a bus, and he's had shitty ideas since the beginning. I think that he leads the comments and arguments on dehumanization of people, and has. I think that he's a big part of the conservative movement and effort to just rubber stamp everything that comes out of Trump's mouth. And I mean, we have to say it. Trump is the biggest piece of shit in all of this. I mean, you have Project 2025, you have everybody saying yes, but whatever they're saying yes to is whatever is coming out of his mouth, right? And so then you layer in the idea that we keep on getting distracted from the Epstein files. We know that we have a 43 count felon as a president, and we probably have a fucking pedophile as a president as well. And that just doesn't sit with me. For the last 11 years, I was a high school teacher. I protect children. It's disgusting. And yeah, I think I wrote in a Reddit comment, he's a pig creature at best and a pedophile at worst. So, impeach, convict, remove, get him the fuck out of there.
This is the great, although you did just expose yourself as a Redditor. I don't know how many votes you just lost. Salam, you're up. Worst Republican and
my Reddit name is my actual name too. So, and I promise I don't have any inappropriate tattoos. I can assure you.
Yeah, Salam.
And all the good ones are taken, so I'll do a throwback. Mitch McConnell. He was clearly not stuffed into a locker enough times when he was in high school. But because of all that, he had an axe to grind when he got into elected office, and he's taking it out on everybody.
All right. So
I don't know what else to say about him, but that turtle-looking mother.
I think your first policy should be to install lockers in the Senate floor somewhere. Karishma, you're up.
And then shove them in. And then shove them in.
Well, hold on. I don't know if I can endorse necessarily violence on this platform, but the implication was there. Karishma, you're up. Worst Republican, meanest thing.
Mike Johnson, that little piece of shit, that sleazy little piece of shit. Whenever he's smirking, it bothers me. Like, can someone just duct tape that mouth so I don't have to just watch him lie and smile at the same time? He calls himself like a priest or has some religious education, and he's so out there. He's protecting pedophiles. And, okay, yes, the cabinet has a lot of issues, but that guy was elected to the House, and that guy was selected as the Speaker of the House, or elected, whatever you want to call it. You have so much power. You're second in line to the presidency. So, yeah, he's my little piece of shit.
Yeah, and in your defense, when you do get elected and you run into him, if everyone asks, "Hey, did you see that clip?" He'll say, "Oh, I never saw it." He'll just deny it ever existed. So, no shade being thrown your way. Last up, worst Republican, Mr. Larkin.
Yeah, lots of perverts, predators, and pedophiles to choose from, but I will go out and say gosh, I was gonna say Randy Fine, but I would agree with that. I'll say Matt Gaetz, who Politico found fit to print has been unlikely friends with Jared Moskowitz for the past decade. That was printed after the whole Joel Greenberg fiasco, so I don't know what they bond over if it's not policy.
All right, awesome. I'm satisfied. Not only are we beating the Donald syndrome, because someone did say Trump, but if everyone's answer was Trump, we would not beat the allegations. You all gave very good answers. I think you will definitely be going head to head with some of these smarmy little Republican fucks. Next question, a little more politics oriented. This is a combination question from Marxist-Leninist streamer Hutch and YouTuber Canadian JJ McCullough. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Green Lantern theory of politics, but essentially I think this comes from Ezra Miller. The idea that once Democrats have power, all they need to do is just will the policy. They can just if we just try really hard, Obamacare would have gotten passed. If we just try really hard, we can codify Roe. And this kind of overlooks the idea that this is a complicated, set of different people from different districts with different ideas and different representations, and it's hard to come to a consensus. So the question is, given the midterms, if you win, let's say that there is not this Democratic blowout, and in fact, we kind of have to govern as a minority party, whether that's the House, the Senate, whatever happens, how will you guys pass legislation, work with people, and make sure that no matter how idealistic some of our ideas are, we're going to make progress?
Yeah, so it comes down to knowing that the Senate may not flip this year. So the next 2 years have to be just planning for Medicare for all, planning for campaign finance reform, planning for taxing the billionaires, so that day one, of that blue tsunami that happens for 2029. On day one, just like Trump did hundreds of executive orders, our president is putting out not just executive orders, but also Congress needs to move lightning quick to get the stuff through, because there's only been a handful of years in the past decades where Democrats have had full control. So we really have to take this on. I had a meeting with a new Democrat coalition a few months ago, and one of the representatives asks, once we have the majority, what should we do? And I told him, yeah, you could pass a dozen pieces of legislation that undoes all the harm, but what's that going to actually accomplish? We actually have to build something better from the scorched earth that these fascists are leaving. And then I told them about guaranteed income, and they really loved that idea. So let's see what kind of planning we can do. But I do have some like bipartisan ideas we can get done in the meanwhile.
Yeah, I agree with Salam that we have to plan. And in fact, I don't think the Democrats are very good at planning for the future. I mean, this is something I've been trying to push them to do for a while now. At the think tank I run a think tank called New Consensus. We've been working on a comprehensive detailed plan. It's kind of our version of Project 2025 of what do you actually do on day one to build a prosperous, clean economy that works for everybody. And I don't really campaign on it because like thousands of pages of policy, but that's the kind of thing we actually need to plan for. But you know, I think to actually get it done, like it's not going to be enough to just have a Democratic majority in 2029 if we want to get Medicare for all done. It depends who those Democrats are. And we've got to primary a whole bunch of the sitting corporate Democrats because, I was in there in 2018. It's not enough just to pressure them. And my approach is because the thing I push, I've been sometimes accused of promoting a Green Lantern theory of power, but that's actually not my view. My view is you have to use the power you have in strategic ways, and that sometimes means challenging democratic leadership. So even in 2026, there are a bunch of issues where there is overwhelming bipartisan support. You look at something like congressional stock trading bans, banning the revolving door between Congress and the lobbying industry, reducing our defense budget. These are all issues where there's like 80 to 90% Republican support amongst people. So the problem is leadership doesn't give these these issues a vote. So what you can do is you can do something called a discharge petition, which is a way to basically force a vote. This is what Ro Khanna and Tom Massey just did to force a vote on releasing the Epstein files. And they work really well on issues like this where the people are on your side. You just have to make hay, get a bunch of attention, and then get both parties' leadership to cave, eventually get the vote done. And I think even in 26, we should be able to get something like a congressional stock trading ban passed. But I agree with Salam that then it's going to be about not just the plan of the policies going in 2028, but also recruiting the movement, building not just, having the person who's running for president, but like the dozens or not, if not hundreds of people running for Congress who are aligned on this vision of actually doing Medicare for all, building a clean economy, all the stuff that we actually need to do to turn this country around. And by the way, that's the only way we make sure fascism doesn't come back, right? We have to make people's lives better with government, or we're just going to get another authoritarian in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, piggybacking off what Shoaib just said about discharge petitions, that's what the House was able to do when Adalita Grijalva was sworn in to restore union protections for federal workers. We just saw in the House of Representatives Lauren Underwood's bill to extend the premium tax credits on the Affordable Care Act passed with many vulnerable House Republicans. That's still going to be the case going into a 2028 presidential election. There's still going to be some of those vulnerable House Republicans in blue districts that they're worried after they voted for Biden or they voted for Harris that they need to make sure that they get reelected. And so they're going to have to make some concessions to the progressives and to the Democratic Party. And I think that as we look ahead at that 2028 election, really having these discharge petitions and having, getting the libertarian-minded Republicans together on things like civil liberties and curbing, ICE abuses and taking ideas that have already been proven to be effective, like the expanded child tax credit that cut child poverty by half in 1 year. There are Republicans like Mitt Romney that have said that that's a good idea. We cannot take that at their word and cut other programs in place of the expanded child tax credit. But there are areas of common ground that it's so clear and overwhelming. The data is in our favor of more progressive policy. And there are issues that we'll be able to bring Republicans around on in small numbers, but in numbers that are large enough to pass legislation for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree with. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Karishma, and then Heath. Do you want to go in after her? Because I know she tried to get in. Yeah.
So, and I think either Shahkot or somebody else said it earlier, because it's not that if we get majority, it's going to be utopia, right? Because there's so many corrupt Democrats also, and they're the ones who are giving us a bad name, these corporate Democrats who are going to answer to the donor. So let's take Medicare for All. It's not like all the Democrats are signed on as co-sponsors, right? Even the two senators, New Hampshire senators and the two representatives from New Hampshire, none of them have ever co-sponsored Medicare for All. So even if we had a majority of folks like these are representing the Democratic Party, they're not going to sponsor it and they're not going to move us forward. They're just going to be Republican-like. So it's not enough for us to just get a Democratic majority. We actually have to get rid of all these corrupt politicians at the same time from both parties.
All right, go ahead, Heath.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna kind of piggyback off of what Oliver was saying, and in New Hampshire State Legislature, I've been working very closely with the Liberty Alliance because we actually have a Republican trifecta right here in New Hampshire. The Republicans have a supermajority in the Senate. They nearly have a supermajority in the House, and we have to find those cracks in those votes wherever we can get them. I was the second most active Democratic legislator in the New Hampshire House this past year. I had 28 of my bills pass our chamber. I had 7 signed by the governor. And just passing things is not necessarily enough. It's also stopping some of the bad things from happening. I currently serve as vice chair of the House Progressive Caucus, as deputy ranking member on Executive Department's administration, and as the ranking member on the subcommittee on pensions. So I deal a lot with the state retirement system. And Republican leadership in the New Hampshire State Legislature, they put in a very extremist policy. Well, I should say they put in a number of extremist policy proposals, but the one that I was tasked with was eliminating the Republican leadership's desire to move away from our defined benefits packages, which is basically the whole reason why it's good to work a state job, because you might make $1 million in the private sector, but you don't have that job security, because if the market crashes, then you're going to lose your job. But you have that guarantee because we need jobs like police officers, firefighters, teachers, year after year after year, and those requirements and those needs never go away. So Republicans wanted to pull the rug out from all of our state retirees, and we had to work along with some of our Republican colleagues to actually turn against and vote against this Republican leadership proposal. And it's about finding those votes wherever we can. It's finding those cracks. It's finding those crevices and putting pressure wherever we can to make sure that we can get the votes necessary. And whether we have a Democratic supermajority or whether we have a Republican majority next cycle, it is about doing whatever we can with the power that we have to actually make sure that we can make some good things happen and stop a lot of the bad things from going through.
Can I add one last thing to this as well? For things like Medicare for All, even if we don't get like a Democratic supermajority, I actually think there are people in Congress who you can convince, people like Thomas Macy, of Medicare for All on a conservative basis, because it's fiscally conservative. It saves us money in the long run. And something I learned as people who I've had on my campaign who have been like worked on Capitol Hill as like the interns or the pages or whatever of people there, whether it was Kane or other people. These people don't talk to each other. They go back and forth with these pages. They don't actually like knock on each other's door and try to like convince each other. And I think there's a lot of opportunity with certain people that it's like, not only is Medicare for All objectively the best thing that we could be doing because it saves lives, it increases expansion for people to be able to actually get healthcare, make sure that our rural hospitals don't shut down, but it saves us money. Isn't that isn't that just common sense? Like, what are we doing? Go back to your district and tell them that. We don't want state-run healthcare. We want state-run insurance, right? It's not the exact same thing. And Medicare for All and certain things, I think there's a lot of opportunity to convince some of these Republicans. Not all of them, of course. Some of them are always going to fight you. But some of them I think you could reach, especially if you're like 1 or 2 votes short.
And the best people to bring in, I mean, everybody wants it, but talking to small businesses, talking to them who are often maybe sometimes Republicans, they are all about it.
Yep.
That is like Chamber of Commerce, talking to them about Medicare for All. That'll be a great partner in this fight.
Jeremy, it looked like you wanted to get in here.
Yeah, and just going back to Adam's point, progressive is practical. That's my motto. You can throw the progressive label on it and it gets lost. It becomes a third rail thing. I don't care. Progressive is the things that we actually need for society. And if you can talk it, going back to the messaging, but even more important, when you start to dive into the numbers, we have a hell of a lot more in common than we have apart. And you can really capitalize on that if you're actually talking to people. So, for instance, I just brought up some Gallup stuff, right? Multiculturalism. The U.S. is stronger as a nation because it has people from different races, religions, and cultures. 84%. 84, more than 8 out of 10. Wealthy individuals and businesses should be limited in how much they can advance political candidates and causes they support. 83% overturn Citizens United. This stuff isn't something that's radical. It's very practical circumstances that we can find ourselves in. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. She's not there anymore, so I got to figure out who I'm going to say. I would drag my ass through broken glass to go knock on the door of Marjorie Taylor Greene if it meant having a bipartisan solution to things like veterans benefits, things like Medicare for all, or at least looking at getting, somehow getting corporate bloat out of the system. Talking to people, I grew up in a purple town, small town, and we could talk to each other about politics. It wasn't something that was, oh, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat. It's you have a different opinion, but I still love you. I still appreciate you. I think that we need to come back to that. I would love to see like a D&D. Imagine a D&D, like getting a D&D crew together with a bunch of U.S. congressional members, right? Like imagine Matt Gaetz rolling a D20 as a warlock, right? Like I hate the guy. I mean, there's nothing there. But if we can break down that idea, become humans a little bit, and also be like, hey, this is going to help your district. I'm all about building these bridges instead of walls, and that's just the nature of me. That's how I roll. So that bipartisan support, reaching out, having those tough conversations, and looking at everybody as individuals. That's what I'm about.
I support the initiative, but no pun intended. You're going to also have to convince a bunch of Republicans that D&D isn't satanic. But, theoretically, once you get past that hurdle. All right.
We'll ease them in with Stranger Things.
Okay, gotcha. Well, hey, no, now there's a gay character, open gay character. They're not a fan anymore, unfortunately. This is kind of we touched on dark wokeism as in there's like a rhetoric component to this, but there's a fighting back, like a political fighting back component to this. So this next question comes from Pondering Politics on YouTube. He says, given the various entrenched institutional disadvantages that Dems face, in part because of bad faith GOP tactics, are you willing to change / reform / remove these institutions to level the playing field? So this means national gerrymandering bans, nuking the filibuster, or Supreme Court packing a reform. Can you guys talk about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I already named all the best ideas.
Supreme Court justices who've broken the law.
I mean, I would say I would also advocate for proportional representation so that we actually have accurate representation across the country, as well as uncapping the House.
Yep.
Heath, are you talking about like the Wyoming rule?
Not quite sure what you mean by that.
Just again, one of the ways about proportional representation.
Can you educate us on this Wyoming rule?
Yeah, it's a proposal to increase the size of the House so that the standard representative to population ratio would be that the state with the least population, which is Wyoming, would end up. Lost my train of thought. It would make sure that the most and the least populous states continue to grow, and that the disproportionality of the U.S. House of Representatives will continue to increase unless the body is expanded. So it would be more about like along the lines of 543 seats would be required to implement the Wyoming rule based on the 2010 census results. Is that something you were thinking about?
No, because I mean, if we were like, for instance, if we were looking at the original representation that was provided in the Constitution, I mean, I believe that we'd be over 1,000 seats in the U.S. Congress, which is a little bit unwieldy. I mean, hell, I have 400 colleagues in the New Hampshire House, and that can be a little bit much at times. But it is something where I do think that at the federal level, we need to be considering how we can better represent the actual constituencies that this country has.
Yeah, Heath, you're talking about like what they have in Europe, right? Where they do a national vote, and then based on percentages, different parties get that number of seats in Parliament. And I think all these reform ideas are good. The one thing I do want to emphasize though is Europe is also having fascists come into power. You can't actually get away from this underlying issue of if you can't make the country work for people, you're gonna still have authoritarians come to power, because it's just the easier solution.
Yeah.
And in some ways,
And
some of these
I
reforms
do
actually
agree.
make it a little easier. Like it's easier in Europe in some ways for a far right government to take power, because you can win with like 30% of the vote. But I do think they're like good reforms on their merits.
That's true, but that's where we have to kind of combine them alongside other reforms like ranked choice voting, and making sure that we actually have ways that we can actually reform the government and kind of prevent a lot of these fascistic tendencies to actually come to fruition. And part of that needs to be, a conversation of how can we best amend the Constitution to prevent a lot of these overreaches of power.
Yeah, I mean, Congress has not been expanded since the Congressional Apportionment Act of 1929. It capped it at temporarily 437 seats, and then after the admission of Hawaii and Alaska, went back down to 435. So our population has, I believe, tripled in the time that Congress has been set at a fixed number of 435 seats. I believe in the Federalist Papers, it was something like 30 to 40,000 residents per district. That may be a little bit unwieldy now, and there are ways with technology and modern technology to reach more people. But ultimately, we do need to uncap the House, and in addition to the kind of code of ethics reforms and banning congressional stock trading in the revolving door with lobbyists leaving Capitol Hill to go work on K Street. That's all stuff that we absolutely need to do. And also, we need to really fight a lot harder than Democrats did last time they were in power for statehood for DC. I'm also supportive of self-determination for Puerto Rico. Whether they decide independence or statehood or whatever, it should be left to the Puerto Rican people to decide. But we cannot have the seat of federal government not being a democracy. And for the people of Washington, D.C., the United States, when we say no taxation without representation, it has just not been the case for them. And that's, over 800,000 people.
I don't know, Mr. Larkin. I don't know
Yeah, I
if in this Puerto Rico case we can keep getting involved in foreign Latin American affairs, okay? But Karishma, you wanted to get in.
I just wanted to say, I mean, I agree with you guys, but packing is not going to solve the problem if the underlying ethics is an issue, right? So you can have another 100 representatives, but if the corruption is still there and the money is their votes are being controlled by the oligarchy, it doesn't matter, right? So it's the root cause is the big money in politics. So that is what we have to excise out of our system and actually bring the power of the people into Congress. And so I'm not actually always, I don't like the concept of packing, whether it's the Supreme Court or the House. Look at our, like Heath just mentioned, New Hampshire State House has 400 representatives. We're like, what is it, the second largest or third largest body in the world, Heath, right? As it might be the
Third in
second
the
after US Congress.
no, it's the third in the English speaking world.
I see. Okay, third. Okay. And so what? It's been
I think
taken over by free staters. Nothing is getting done. We are bringing back, not we as in the New Hampshire State House is planning to bring back the death penalty to New Hampshire. It's out of control. The free staters are being completely controlled by the Koch brothers, and this is what we're seeing. So it's not just about packing. It's not about the numbers. It's about the ethics. It's about getting big money out of politics.
I would
Yeah, and
just amend that a little bit. I think it's a yes and situation. Sorry. Just talking about numbers, right? When we talk about the, United States House of Representatives, what is that? You're supposed to represent. You got to represent how many people? I think the number that we were talking about in the Federalist days was 30,000. Now we're looking at an average of 761,000 people. And what we do as a campaign, I pride myself in the relationships that we build and getting out and to be actually developing all the relationships that you need when that number keeps on increasing, and you have that 435 stagnant. I would be open to the idea of maybe you represent 500,000 or 400,000 or 300,000 because it becomes a more intimate process and you actually can start to drill down and have those conversations. Something that has been removed because of the corporate greed in the system and the disassociation with true representation, while at the same time, I want those numbers to come down a little bit just so you can actually have those relationships that you need.
Yeah. I just wanted to hit on Karishma's point about the death penalty. I know it's a little bit off topic, but it is something that is coming back through the New Hampshire General Court. And it's completely baffling to me why they are going after this. And they've submitted 5 pieces of legislation in regards to reinstating the death penalty, from murderers to people under the age of, or sexual assault victims under the age of 12. Their assaulters would be subject to the death penalty, a number of other bills. And it's just like, these pieces of legislation, I mean, I don't think that the sexual offender bill is one that actually is effective, because people will be less likely to report family members, who are oftentimes the most common perpetrators of those types of crimes. And I think that's very problematic, because that means that we are literally going to create situations where victims will not be willing to report the abuse that they are being subject to. Secondly, it is something that passed the New Hampshire state legislature, the ban on the death penalty, back in 2019, with a veto-proof majority in both the House and the Senate. But Republicans are not caring about what is popular or what has been done in the past, and the fact that New Hampshire residents were pushing for this. But it is the fact that it is something where it creates pain, it creates opportunities for the government to have complete control over the types of punishment, especially capital punishment, that is being subject to our citizens. And we are already seeing justifications for the murder of Renee Good, and how we are basically trying to justify law enforcement officers being judge, jury, and executioner.
All right. We have, I think,
I'm going to be surprised.
Go ahead.
Just want to say one thing. Next up, I think we're going to bring back tarring and feathering. I mean, it's just out of control. We're becoming more medieval over time, not progressive. We're not progressing.
Yeah, no, it's getting real scary. But yeah, I guess this is very on topic then for one of our last questions here. This is the original one I accidentally said, from L. Don Francis Quito. He asks, what checks and balances would you impose on yourself if you become one of these like rich and wealthy politicians? Some of you mentioned like, banning congressional stock trading. I think this is a good start. But in the same way that like we're seeing this scary overreach where death penalties are becoming justified and people are kind of becoming corrupt and sucked into that system. I mean, how do we make sure we don't have to January 6th, you guys?
I don't own any individual stocks. I don't.
But go ahead, Heath.
Oh, I just want to say I don't own any individual stocks. I don't own any individual stocks. I don't plan on owning any individual stocks. I don't plan on trading any individual stocks. I don't plan on giving people insider information. I don't think that it's appropriate that we have people in government and their spouses, their family members, trading this information that gives them an advantage in the market. It is completely unacceptable, because it's rigging the game. And if you are going to Congress, your job should be representing the people, not making as much money as possible. And that's where we need to make sure that our representatives are not actually just trying to swindle the American people.
Let me be clear. I favor a ban on congressional stock trading. I probably should have implemented that on my personal life many years ago when I bought GameStop. I'm still holding, and one day it will go to the moon. But otherwise, my net worth is negative worth with my law student loan, so like negative 200 some $1,000. So I'm going into this, really the whole goal, get Medicare for all and get out so I can run a food truck. So yeah, I'm in favor of banning congressional stock trading. If I'm gonna have stocks, I'll put it in like a lockbox or whatever it's called. I don't even know the term of art because I'm broke. And also term limits. I'm in favor of term limits. There's some spicy ideas out there of 2-term limits for senators and 6-term limits for House of Representatives. I think that'd be dope. I think that we'd probably get a lot of stuff done quicker as well.
Unfortunately, Salam, a bunch of lobbyists just saw dollar signs in their eyes because they know they can buy your student debt and influence politics. Anyone else have some checks and balances to keep themselves?
So, Soypill, were you asking?
Yeah, go ahead.
You were asking on a personal level, right?
Yeah, essentially, how are you going to hold yourself
I'm
accountable?
On the board right. So I'm on the board of an organization here in New Hampshire called Open Democracy Action. So we are actually trying to get big money out of politics. So this was an organization started by a New Hampshire native called, her name was Granny D. Haddock, who at age 89 walked all the way from California to Washington, D.C., literally walked. Sometimes I think she did cross-country skiing through the winter months, just to talk about that the big money in politics is the greatest threat to our democracy. So I'm on the board of that organization. So if I go corrupt, I mean, I will have to deal with her ghost one day. The other thing is, I know we're not supposed to talk about religion, but I'm a little bit afraid of hellfire. So yeah, I will keep my hands clean. So don't January 6th me.
Yeah, I think for me, and I have to call out that I was actually living in DC on January 6th, and it was completely horrifying getting the emergency alert from Mayor Muriel Bowser that there was a 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew, and going through all of that during COVID, and pulling up the pride flag from the window balcony, not sure if there were going to be pickup trucks coming into Columbia Heights. It was really a horrifying and awful experience. I think the thing that really grounds me, because I do, agree with what folks are saying about, ending congressional stock trading, and I think we need to obviously overturn Citizens United and put in a lot more of these ethics reforms, but also being a member of an organization that will hold me accountable. I'm a DSA member, and I'm really running with the support of both our DSA chapters in Broward and Palm Beach County. And I think that accountability structure is so strong. I think DSA, very famously, not afraid of having a fight, having some inter-party, inter-family, discipline to really make sure that we have the most accountability structure in place for not just our elected officials, but for people, relating to one another within the organization. So I think that's an incredibly powerful thing to have, that anyone who's going into Congress should be doing so, with their own accountability structure coming with them to hold them accountable and make sure they're responsive to the district and not just their own, personal proclivities of what they want to be when they're in Congress.
Let me add to the
Sorry,
stock trading
sorry,
thing.
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, go ahead.
How many people have been endorsed by Track APAC here?
I need to. I haven't taken any of their money, but I need to be.
Adam, that's it. January. No, but see, we are already in the right track. Soy.
Okay, go ahead, Murphy.
Already
I just wanted to add about the stock trading. I worked in the investment space for a bit. And so Morgan Griffith and some other Republicans are trying to push this new stock ban, which is trying to take it away from people like AOC, who had already actually an existing stock ban in place. Something we need to be very clear on with these stock bans is we also have to ban the private purchase of stock trading, because public trading is very important, right? You can't buy it from the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, whatever. But we also have to make sure that they cannot buy it privately. That's what these Republicans and other people who have a lot of money really will ultimately do. And I think the only stock that could ever be purchased by Congress, if there was ever an exception, would have to be like ETFs, right? Like, or mutual funds. Like, it literally could never be individual stock, because we've seen, if you had like the Nancy Pelosi tracker or whatever, right? Like, she was doing like 200% better than the market or whatever. We have to make sure that when we implement that stock ban, that it blocks all purchases of the congressperson, their spouse, their children, like their cousins, anybody that could be even remotely close to them, because they will find a way to get around it if we don't.
All right. I just have to add, APAC, if you're listening, whatever money you were going to give to these people, my bank account number is in my email. I will send it to you immediately.
So that's a great point that Adam brought up, in the sense of, like, I think some people in the comments too, like, I have stock. It's not a lot of stock, because like, I have a Coinbase account, all of these things. I think that the minute that you take the oath of office, you are saying that you are doing this for selfless reasons. And that is the easiest way to ensure that that selflessness really is resonating with what's going on. Another thing, a link that I just put in there too, the indexintegrity.us, is from the dude that does stock in the Capitol. Just tremendously awesome, just taking account of, making sure that we're holding our elected officials accountable. And that really matters. Like, there was a challenger 5 years ago that was trying to hit the current incumbent on this, but it just wasn't hitting. We have to be saying this corporate money leads to a lack of visibility in the district, a lack of accountability to your constituents, a watered down platform. We need to connect in the messaging to the idea that what does this corporate money do? And then when you're in, ensure that it has no influence whatsoever by banning it, overturning Citizens United, and the likes.
All right. I think we have time for one more question. I have this from Plam Gratner. Should it be disqualifying to get an accidental Nazi tattoo? Haven't we all in some capacity misstepped? Do you have any liabilities that you want to get ahead of?
No, I don't think it should be. I guess I'll go first on this. I love Grant Plattner. I believe his story. I mean, I think there's this fundamental thing, like either you're going to get the nerds who have been trying to run for office since they're 5 years old, or you're going to get regular people to run for office. And look, I tried to recruit people to run for office in 2018. I started Justice Democrats. It is hard enough to get working people to run for office. They've got so much going up against them. So now, if on top of that, like they've got to have a completely clean, never fucked up their entire lives kind of record. I think then you're going to end up with people like Ted Cruz in there, who are just absolute ghouls. Sorry to anyone here who's been trying to run for office since you're 5.
As long as he doesn't better, we're good, right? We're good.
Yeah, it's all about growth.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about where you're at right now,
has
right?
been, my mantra has been Republicans are loyal to a fault and Democrats eat their own. And I think that when you actually peel back all the layers and you go through the history of Grant Plattner, you see, to be honest, you see growth in a human being, right? The idea that you can't develop things. I hope that individuals that have shifted their ideologies to MAGA can come back, because that's what we need as a nation. And if we can't have that understanding and tolerance and be like, okay, we can get through this and just totally just write everybody off from the get-go, I don't want to live in that. And it's sure as hell not going to be something that's going to unify our base. And yeah, the other thing, I just put it in the chat. I dressed up as Bob Ross for my high school picture. There you go. That's my dirt over there.
Wait. Was it the year he died?
No.
Okay,
no.
Then you're good. You're good.
No what the hell year did he die?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe it was. Okay. Not confirmed.
Jeremy, you're just like revealing yourself to be like a wholesome guy with that. Like this is not a Nazi tattoo level incident at all.
I'll come out clean. I was not born in the United States. I'm a naturalized citizen. Go for it,
Oh my
guys.
God, Teresa, get out of here.
I know. Constitution allows me to run for the Senate. I'm sorry, guys, but I was not born in this country, but I love it. I grew up here, so sorry. I'll get it out there. World now knows it.
I don't know
as someone who was born
on.
I was born on July 4th, and so I've really resented the kind of patriotism that the far right claims. I've got a right-wing coded tattoo because it's the "we" from the Constitution. Because my siblings' initials and also the 4th of July thing. So if you see this, it's not like some 3%er type thing or Oath Keeper thing. It's just it's part of who I am.
It should probably be policy that every candidate before getting inaugurated just get naked and do a full 360 in a T-pose so we can see every inch of their body and make sure there are no tattoos. If you guys would support this.
So my children are also listening to this. Come on. So
hey, that's your fault for being a bad parent, to be clear. All right, so we actually have a follow-up question from Josiah, because a lot of you talked about these laws, about getting money out of politics, keeping politicians in check, and he wants to push back and say federal laws that attack money in politics will get struck down by the SCOTUS. How can we really do any of these reforms if we're not willing to go and reform the court? How can that not be our number one priority?
So I think part of it is reforming the court. I also want to say that there's, we often talk about Citizens United, which is a problem, but there are other ways to actually get around the big money in politics in the short term. So in the short term, the actual decision that allowed unlimited amounts of corporate money in politics is a different decision called Speech Now. And that's actually being challenged in court right now. There's a ballot measure in Maine that is trying to stop that. Someone mentioned the Montana strategy. That's also a thing where you basically states can start redefining how corporations are made. We could do federal programs that do things like democracy bucks, like what where there's basically like public matching of small dollar donations, like they do in New York and Washington. But I do want to throw out there, like this is, as someone else pointed out, a massive bipartisan issue. Like 80% of Republicans want to get rid of big money in politics, and it's a top salience issue. It often is up there with the economy as a number one issue that voters care about. I think we can do a constitutional amendment. Like as crazy as that sounds, I mean, it just seems like the kind of thing. If there's anything we can do it on, it should be this, because so many people want it to happen and people really care about it, and we should just go for it. Like we're at a point in our politics where crazy things are happening. Like Donald Trump is running the country. He just took over the entire Republican Party, right? Like we're about to take over Greenland. So can we really not imagine doing a constitutional amendment and just getting rid of Citizens United and getting rid of big money in politics?
21st century Bill of Rights. Cover it all. If we're going to do one constitutional amendment, let's get like 10 more, like digital privacy, privacy law. There's so many things we could fix. If we're going to go that route, we should get a whole bunch of things codified right there in one fell swoop.
Well, on Adam's point, I mean, we can look back to FDR and the proposal that he had when he was president for the new Bill of Rights, and again, the first Bill of Rights was freedom from the government. The second Bill of Rights should be freedom from corporations. Yes. And I think that, we need to be talking about, the inclusion of, universal health care, education, the right to a living wage, just to name a few. But, we have a blueprint that has been established. Secondly, I mean, I do think that we need to be going after term limits for the courts, because these lifetime appointments are not acceptable. We need to make sure that there are clear ethics standards, because it's quite clear that they have been unable to regulate themselves in a way that is consistent with U.S. law. And I think that that's something that we really need to be highlighting and really, pushing for, because if they can't be trusted to police themselves, then the people, need to put the policing to them.
Yeah, and just to add on to this and say something new, because I agree with what others have said. I think impeachment needs to be on the table with, I think we think about this in a very narrow scope with just the president, but there are impeachable offenses that can be committed by cabinet secretaries, by members of the federal judiciary. When we had, Clarence Thomas's wife texting with Mark Meadows on January 6th, like that's impeachable behavior. When Harlan Crow, a right-wing billionaire, is taking Clarence Thomas, or when Sam Alito is taking gifts from people with business before the court, these are impeachable offenses. So in addition to implementing a code of ethics and frankly, to pull back on what Mitch McConnell and the Federalist Society have executed over the past several decades, there has to be a very broad-based, and it has to start in the House because that's where impeachment proceedings begin. There has to be a very broad-based impeachment inquiry into all of these bastards, because the rot is so deep and it is so broad. The impeachment and taking on the corruption really has to be done, with removing people from office, in addition to implementing the measures so that new people, cannot exploit the same kind of corrupt tendencies that the current members of the judiciary and executive have.
Jeremy, I saw you raising your hand. Did you want to get in here?
Yeah, I just put in the chat. So right next to us is Jim McGovern, who is the man. And so he is actually leading an initiative to overturn Citizens United. So I, take a look at that. We cut a video very early on, because literally our districts are right next to each other, and I'm on the railroad tracks, and I'm like, on this side of the tracks is Jim McGovern, who's trying to overturn Citizens United. And I walk over to the next side, and I go, on this side is percentage wise the top recipient of corporate cash in all of Congress. And so when you think about the situation that we're in, yes, we have to overturn Citizens United. Yes, we have to think strongly about this. We also need to flip the script to say we don't want to elect individuals. It doesn't take money to go into the voting booth and vote. And if a Newt Gingrich can go out and sign a pledge saying that individual will not increase taxes at all, absolute pledges like that, we need to band together and say, one, as just individuals that care about our democracy, we're not going to do that, and hold our elected representatives accountable too. We can say, okay, well, everybody here, we've taken money, but the next person to take it, we're going to oust. We need initiatives like that as well. And that will bypass some of the complexities of the amendment process and whatnot. But it starts with a philosophical shift of what we actually do as a voting body in this country.
All right, guys, I think someone wants to say something more, but we have to wrap up. We're 15 minutes over, so I have to say, if you live in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Virginia, Florida, or California, and any of these people are your local politicians, please, if you like what they say here, go to their campaign websites, think about canvassing and donating. Shoykot, you're in my district. I should look into this because I think I can literally volunteer for you specifically, and maybe I can round up some of my audience to do the same. If you want to see more of these people talk about their stuff, thank you to the donors of Progressive Victory. And if you want to donate, go to progressivevictory.win. And if you don't want to donate to them, my Patreon is patreon.com/thesoypill. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Best of luck in your elections. Best of luck defeating the Republican rot that goes deep, as you say. I really appreciate you all being here and doing what it takes to fix this country. God forbid, we need to turn it around. It's going in the wrong direction, and you're the progress that we need. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much for having us.
Thanks so much for having us.
Oh no, I'm breaking the stage. All right, so I would appreciate if all the politicians please step down from the stage. We're gonna move on to our final bit. Meet the founder.
And look at that. That was a peaceful transfer of power. Not a single one of them protested leaving. So that's good, right?
Peaceful transfer of power. Thank you.
Right.
Again, progress.
Get out of here, Soy Pill.
Progress.win. Progress.